Hi, my name is Joanna Tano. I am the Executive Chair of the Wellness 360 Conference, which is here in Akron, Ohio on April 20th. We're very excited about this conference. The theme is Wellness Without Borders, and we have a lot of dynamic topics and speakers from different places such as Cleveland Clinic and the Ohio State University. So very excited about the conference that's coming up. And today I have Dr. Joel Bennett, our keynote speaker and our pre-conference workshop speaker with me today. Hi, Joel.
Hey, thanks
How
for
are
having
you?
me. Yeah, it's great to see you.
You too. Thanks for joining me today. Obviously, we've had a lot of questions about wellness and mindfulness and interpersonal wellness, so I thought I could pick your brain a little bit today.
Sure, we're going to talk about, this is the pre-conference workshop on April 19th, correct?
Correct.
In Akron from 12:30 to 4:30.
Absolutely, yep.
Making sure I'm being
You're going to be there, right?
mindful and present.
I love it. Love it. So Joel, can you just start by telling us what mindfulness is and why it's important?
Yeah, so mindfulness is a number of different things, to be clear. So there's people talk about mindfulness as a trait. Some people are more mindful than others, for example. It's also a process of attending to the present moment. And it's also a practice. And so all of those combined basically mean that it's a particular way where we attend to our experience with calmness, with observation, with non-judgment, and we bring a certain quality of attentiveness, self-compassion, and a relaxed openness to the moment, being in the moment. That's really, there's a lot more to it, but that's essentially what it is.
Great. So then what's the difference between mindfulness and then the interpersonal mindfulness?
Yeah, and you also asked about the benefits. I want to make sure I get, because there's been a great deal of research. Yeah. No, we'll talk about interpersonal mindfulness, but the research has shown, this is a number of studies, that mindfulness in the different ways I described improves physical health, it improves mental health, it reduces anxiety and depression, it improves quality of life, it is associated with reduced stress, and this has been done in the workplace with working adults.
Wow.
And what's amazing is that there's even research to show that it improves worker performance to the point where Aetna, just so you know, Aetna has their own mindfulness space in their corporate headquarters in Hartford, Connecticut, and they have a whole program to promote mindfulness, both for their internal staff, but for their clients as well. I mean, it's becoming more and more popular because of the health benefits and also the performance benefits. So that's the benefits of mindfulness.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. That's really awesome. So now let's talk about the interpersonal mindfulness and the difference between the two.
Yeah, so there's a lot of talk about intrapersonal, like I mentioned, relaxed, calm, paying attention. But we also need interpersonal mindfulness. I don't know about you, but when I work with other people or I'm interacting, there are many things that people do that trigger me, that get me upset, or that I get impatient, which is a problem. And so I need to practice in my communication with other people the same qualities that I might practice with myself. And so that's what this workshop focuses on. And there's been a lot more work on interpersonal mindfulness. So the workshop brings some of that work together into this 4 introductory hours.
Great. So knowing now the differences of mindfulness and interpersonal mindfulness, why should people come to this workshop, this 4-hour workshop, and learn about it? What can they take back to their employers?
Well, we have a lot of tools that we give in that brief time. We have 7 types of interpersonal mindfulness questionnaire, and it's very much like what people do when they do personality assessments in the workplace. So you might have heard of the Myers-Briggs or the Gallup Strengths Finder. So this kind of weds those tools together with mindfulness. So in the same way, people who come to the workshop will identify what their type is, and they'll also be able to bring the same tools back and use them without any additional cost in their work environment, so that they can help create that that work environment that we were talking about, where people are mindful together, mindful with each other. And then that leads, as I said, to less stress and more productivity. The tools that they get will be, they'll have a binder, they'll have handouts. So all of that they can take back and use it for their own growth as well as for the growth of others. And by supporting others' strengths through these types of tools, they build that climate and that culture, that healthy workplace culture, which is so important. So that's essentially what happens in the workshop and what people will take back.
Awesome. So you mentioned there's 7 types. I took the survey and identified with the heedful relator type. Can we talk about that for a minute?
Well, I want to hear what you think about your own type. So I'll talk about it, but then I'll bring it back to you.
Okay.
So very quickly, these are the 7 types that we've identified, and there's a whole number of practices for each of these types. And I'll quickly go through them. There's the values clarifier. That's the person who has a very strong emphasis on values and virtues and doing the right thing and making sure that people are, just kind of having integrity and everything's on the up and up. But they want to bring that out in other people. They want other people to follow their cause, follow their calling, and be inspired by what their values are. So that's the values clarifier. Another one is what we typically think about is the centerer, the person who intentionally centers, that person who stays calm. They're always kind of relaxed. They're the center and the calm of the storm. That's another type. Then there's the compassionate nudger. That's the person who's encouraging, who's there to listen, who knows how to help people, get people the right resources. Many times people in human resources actually have that tendency, especially if they're in employee relations or if they're in helping professions. Then there's the knower of impact. That's the person who is very self-aware of how they come across in social settings and is aware of how other people come across in social settings, right? And makes people, hey, wait a second, do you know how we're coming across out here in the world? Maybe we, optics, folks. So that's the knower of impact. Then there's the garnerer of trust. Sometimes people think it's the gardener of trust, but it's someone who garners trust, that we are one team. How can we, if somebody's not feeling like they're being part of it, that person brings them together. And then some people think that the next one is the pinnacle. It's the thriver, the person who's able to take the stress, transform it into something positive, look on the bright side, get through things, and helps everybody to thrive. So those are the 6, but then there's the heedful relator. So I'm going to ask you to tell me what you think about the heedful relator.
Yeah, well, when I read through them, I feel like I really try to communicate with a lot of kindness, a lot of empathy. I very much like to have that open door policy where people can come in and talk, whether it's about anything. I really believe maybe it's just from my background. I have a physical therapy background and then a wellness coach, health coach background. So I think it might come a little bit from that, just because that was kind of in my training, to be that compassionate person, that safe haven for my employers, my clients, my employees. So that's kind of what I identified with.
Yeah, so the heedful relator, what's interesting about physical therapy is you have to be very attentive, right?
Absolutely.
Moment to moment, heeding what's going on. So yeah, that's exactly what a heedful relator is. It's that moment to moment, if I'm saying what's the next right thing to say here that feels true for me, but also connects to other people. So
right.
those are the 7 types, and I'm really glad that you shared your own experience around that.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining me today, Joel. I know this was a short time, but definitely learned a lot in this short little recording. So it's great to see you, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. I hope you have a great day and a great rest of your week. Thanks so much.
You too. Bye-bye. Just a reminder, the Wellness 360 conference, Wellness Without Borders, is on April 20th of 2018. That's a Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 3:15 p.m. at the Holiday Inn Akron West in Fairlawn. And the pre-conference will be the day before, April 19th, 2018. That's a Thursday from 12:30 to 4:30 at the same location, the Holiday Inn Akron West Fairlawn. Find all information and registration at www.wellness360conference.com.